Last podcast, let's take a ride into the mind of Smoothie. Video games and comic books, we'll talk about horror movies. Let's go retro, checking the scene. Talk about things in magazines. We'll talk about the things that we've seen on screen and the 9-0s on the 19.
Oh, yeah, we are back. What is going on, everyone? It is your boy Smoothie, but of course, and I invite you once again to come for the entertainment and to stay for the journey, that journey deep into the mind of Smoothie. If you are new here, hello to you and welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to, rate, and review the show wherever you get your podcast from. Now, without further ado, it is time to get into this week's episode, so sit back, relax, pop some popcorn, pour a bowl of your favorite cereal, and let's get started. All right, it has been quite some time, a couple weeks maybe even, since the last episode, since we wrapped up the mini-series on first-run syndication programs. And I do want to thank each and every one of you who took the time to listen to that show, those series of shows. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. The feedback I got from those, so thank you. But I hit a kind of a roadblock after that series. I had it all planned out and all in my mind. I knew which shows I was going to do, and I was scheduled out, or booked out for at least 4 episodes. And then nothing. I had nothing. I had ideas, but nothing was sticking. I wasn't feeling it. And some of the other ideas I had might have involved guests on the podcast, but timing necessities or timing conflicts arose, and that didn't happen. But before we escape April without an episode, been just about a month, since a little more than a month since the last episode, I said, hey, I need to do a show. And what a better time than now to do this show, because we are officially, as of this recording, today it is April 29th, 2022. So we are halfway to Halloween already. So that's something to be excited about and something to get pumped about. I am also looking forward to this upcoming Halloween. Last year, a lot of things going on in the fall. I didn't really truly get a good chance to appreciate that time. So I'm kicking things off early here. I'm kicking things off with another movie review. This time, we are going to be looking at, since it is halfway to Halloween, the 1986 cult classic. Yes, it's becoming a cult classic now. We are going to be looking at Trick or Treat.
Wake up, sleepyhead.
It's party time! Rock and roll! Rock and
Trick or treat.
take control!
Looks like we better check out the party punch.
That's right. This is one of my favorite movies for the Halloween season. I only just really learned about it a year or two ago, listening to Jay and Matt discuss this, or discuss discuss the music on the Purple Stuff podcast. And a while back, I did do a blog post on this years ago. We're talking like 2016, 2017. That site is no longer up, but I'm happy that I'm going to be visiting this movie in the audiological sense. So enough of an intro, enough of talking about it and pumping it up. We are just going to get into it right about now. Okay, as I have mentioned, we are halfway to Halloween, maybe a little bit over halfway. I'm so excited to talk a little bit about the movie Trick or Treat 1986. I don't want to talk too much. I don't want to go on for far too long, because I rather you spend that time going and checking out the film. I highly recommend it. It's highly underrated, highly overlooked. I'm going to read you the back description from the DVD case. So, Trick or Treat. Eddie Weinbauer is a typical all-American teenager. At least he was until he fell under the evil spell of rock music. Now he's obsessed with heavy metal superstar idol Sammi Curr, who was killed in a hotel fire. Eddie becomes the recipient of the only copy of Curr's unreleased album, which when played backwards sends a message of destruction. As Halloween approaches, Eddie begins to realize this isn't only rock and roll, it's life and death, and he must draw the line to thwart this mission. Trick or Treat, it was released on October 24th, 1986. The budget for this movie was $3.5 million. It made just about $6.8 million at the box office, which I guess seems pretty impressive for this type of movie. Now you got to take into consideration the time frame. So we're hot on the heels, or in the midst of the slasher genre, the Nightmare on Elm Streets and Freddy Krueger's, or the Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees, and of course the Halloweens and Michael Myers. So this falls right in line. Trick or Treat was directed by Charles Martin Smith. Some of his more recent stuff: A Dog's Way Home, Dolphin's Tale. He also did some TV work on shows such as Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Space Above and Beyond. The story was done by Rhett Topham. He's done other things such as 976 Evil 2. Also worked on the Freddy's Nightmare anthology horror series. The screenplay was done by Michael S. Murphy. He's done some production work, or was acted as a producer on the television movie Here Come the Munsters. Also was a producer on the 2012 Dread movie and District 9. And Joel Session, he also does a lot of production work, or he was a producer on Dracula 2000, Piranha 3 Double D, and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I had previously read the back description from the DVD case, but here's the summary that I've come up with. Trick or Treat is a movie about metalhead and outcast Eddie Ragman Weinbauer. Ragman, who is often bullied by the popular kids at school, relies heavily on the music of local shock rocker Sammi Curr. Sammi Curr, much like Eddie, they attended the same high school, probably much the same situation. He was probably an outcast. Curr, of course, got out of that small town, sought out and found fame and success in the music industry, and became known for his wild stage theatrics. So Sammy wanted to come back and play a show at his old high school on Halloween, but of course the town and the PTA, they weren't having any of it. Now at this time, this is outside the summer here, but at this time, anybody who grew up in the 80s might remember the whole satanic panic craze, that like games like Dungeons and Dragons were all used for evil and were very satanic in nature, and of course heavy metal music easily able to flag that, and known for the backmasking and adding hidden messages in tracks. So they were kind of definitely a timely piece in that fashion. It's where it falls into line. Back to the summary. Eddie does, because of Sammy's his idol, he gets a lot of strength and courage and perseverance just to keep on, know there's something better after high school. And he gets this all from Sammy. As we see in the opening scene, you see a day in the life, his high school life, but during the course of this thing, he's also penning a letter to Sammy, saying we're pals and everything. Not exactly like that, but sharing the same stories and struggles that Sammy did, and that he has this connection with him. I'm sure he's written to him before, maybe even be part of the Sammi Curr fan club. I don't know if that's a thing, just adding that in there for posterity's sake. A few scenes later, we see that Eddie learns via a TV news broadcast Sammi Curr was killed in a hotel fire. This completely devastates Eddie. He goes to the local radio station where he apparently has a friend. Not apparently, he does have a friend who is a DJ there. So it's a local rock station, and this friend is Nuke. His name is Nuke. He's played by Gene Simmons. And from what I can tell, it seems like he may have been, in the conversation that he has with Eddie, he may have been in the same class with Sammy, or knew Sammy prior to his fame and stardom. Nuke gives Eddie the last recording because he wanted him to have it. He figured that it would be good therapy, I guess, or something, a good memento to remember Sammy by, and to give him this record that was, not even pressed. It was a demo record. Nuke made a copy of it because it was supposed to be played on Halloween night. So there was still that copy there. Eddie goes home, listens to the vinyl, falls asleep during it, has a vision of the fire that killed Sammy, and he's awoken to this backwards message being played. After further investigation, he plays it reverse and feels that the message is for him and feels that he's being told to, stick it to, that's the word he uses in the film, these bullies and everything. And it kind of gives him this boost of confidence, as you see in the preceding scenes as he goes into school, flirting with this girl who he likes. Probably wouldn't have normally given him the time of day, but it gives his confidence to talk to her and everything. And he does get revenge on these bullies and everything, but then things seem to get a little bit too far out of context, even out of his control and out of his grasp, because he's made a couple of different copies of this record, tape recordings. It now seems more sinister. As they said, this is more of a vengeance scheme that was insinuated or instituted, I can't think of the right word there, put into place by Sammi. So you would kind of think maybe the whole hotel fire was intentional, that this was his way to get back at the PTA and the townspeople and all those naysayers who had something bad to say about Sammi and his music. Now it's up to Eddie to stop all this from happening and kind of call it back, which doesn't turn out too well. As we always do, we're going to talk a little bit about the cast here and who they were and some things they've done. So the lead character, Eddie Ragman Weinbauer, was played by Mark Price. He's a stand-up comedian nowadays, but his most prominent role, and you would recognize him instantaneously, especially if you were a product of the 80s, from the television sitcom Family Ties. He played the next-door neighbor, Skippy. Sammi Curr was played by Tony Fields. Or Tony Fields played Sammi Curr. Did I say that wrong? I don't know. It doesn't matter. He was a dancer by trade. He did some Michael Jackson backup work. I believe he was in the Beat It video, Thriller. He was also on the television show Solid Gold as a dancer. Unfortunately, he passed away back in 1995 due to complications from HIV and cancer as well. Lisa Orgolini, I'm butchering that name. She didn't seem to have too much else outside of Trick or Treat, but she played Leslie Graham. She's the love interest to Ragman, or who Ragman is seeking to make a connection with. Aside from Trick or Treat, the other movie, which I'm definitely going to have to check out because I've never even heard of this movie myself, and I don't think it was a direct-to-TV movie, but Born to Ride from 1991. This movie starred John Stamos. Definitely, like I said, something I need to watch. Doug Savant, he played Tim Haney. He was the main antagonist. He was the head bully, the lead bully. He actually is most known for a lot of TV work, Desperate Housewives being the prominent one. He was in a majority of the series. He played the role of Tom Scavo on Desperate Housewives. He was also in the 1998 movie Godzilla and, of course, Teen Wolf. Glenn Morgan played the character of Roger Marcus. He was Ragman's friend. He hasn't done much acting since Trick or Treat, but he's done a lot of work on television, writing work, and production work. He wrote or directed, I forget now, I didn't write it down, but Final Destination 3 and the 2006 Black Christmas. Also produced for TV series like X-Files, Twilight Zone, and The River. And then we have Nuke, played by Gene Simmons. Of course, he is the frontman of the band Kiss. And then you have televangelist was Reverend Aaron Gilstrom, played by Ozzy Osbourne. And he, of course, is from, Ozzy Osbourne. He's had his own music and a Black Sabbath. And one other person to notice, there were a few other casts, but the main cast was the previous people I mentioned. But one other person of note was Alice Nunn. She played Mrs. Sylvia Cavell, PTA leader. She wasn't in much, but the one thing you would remember for like almost instantaneously, even the first time I saw it, I knew, made the connection. She was Large Marge in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That is it for the cast. Music in this film, all the music was done by the band Fastway. Fastway, through this movie, I got introduced to them as well, and I love their music. I've bought several of their albums since. But Fastway was formed by Motorhead guitarist Fast Eddie Clark and the bassist for the band UFO Pete Way. See what they did there? Fastway. For Trick or Treat, the lead vocals were provided by Dave King, currently of Flogging Molly. Unfortunately, the two band founders, Fast Eddie Clark, he passed away in 2018, and Pete Way passed away in 2020. Looking through the discography and everything of Fastway, it even appears that by the time we got to Trick or Treat, to this out, because the whole soundtrack is a Fastway album, Pete Way was no longer involved in the band anyway, so I believe they formed around 1982. If you've never listened to Fastway, definitely give them a listen. But that's it for Trick or Treat 1986. I myself did not do any justice, and this was a movie that I've mentioned, I believe I mentioned in the intro, I wrote a blog post on years ago, and I've been wanting to cover this here, and I may even revisit this, maybe watching it with somebody else and having a good discussion about it, more of a deep dive into it, but I've been going on long enough. So my final words for you are, if you haven't seen it, go see it. If you've seen it before, see it again and again and again, and enjoy this halfway to Halloween season.
You should be loyal to your heroes. They could turn on you.
And that is going to do it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, this look at the 1986 film Trick or Treat. Such a great movie, and I think more people should be exposed to this. I don't think you see it a lot on streaming services or whatnot. DVDs are out there. Usually I got mine, it's in a combo pack. 2 movies, completely unrelated. Don't even have Sammi Curr on the front cover. They have Ozzy Osbourne and Gene Simmons, who play, like we discussed, minor roles in this film. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you check it out, whether it be in this halfway to Halloween season or the Halloween season as it comes about. So let's keep this conversation going, of course. Head on over to the Facebook page and give a like to the Mind of Smoothie Facebook page. And while you're there, join the Mind of Smoothie and Friends Facebook group. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mind of Smoothie. For video content, please visit youtube.com/Mind of Smoothie. And for all other news and updates, and maybe one day this will be updated, visit the mindofsmoothie.com website. And that is going to do it. Thank you all so much for listening. Until the next one, take care, God bless, and of course, stay smooth.